Doesn't get old. Doesn't get old.
It's great. And now our guest of the day is busting my balls via text about our intro.
Oh, why? He doesn't like it?
Oh, he thinks it's cute. We'll ask him about it when he comes on. Nice. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. You know, it's funny. We reconnected. You know, we were buddies in Dallas, and we reconnected. I took like a 2-year break off from Facebook, and it was, you know, it was just getting so gross, and it was a mistake, by the way. I think it was a mistake. I think I fell out of sight for some people. But the funniest thing happened to me. So, you know, I rejoined Facebook, and then, like, you know, it gives you a million, you should, you know, friend suggestions, right? And I'm reconnecting with suddenly all these high school friends that have come on that weren't on there before, right? And I see this girl. I'm not going to use her real name. I see this girl named, her name is Rachel Rodriguez, right? I'm making that up, but let's say it's Rachel Rodriguez, right?
I'm not going to say her name. Her name is this.
No, it's not the real one. That's not the real name. Anyway, so I said her name is Rachel Rodriguez, and so I joined. So, you know, I'm like, I remember her. We have all the same mutual friends. Like, I guess it kind of looks like her. You know, okay, yeah, okay. Anyway, you know, this is like February, and I have friend requests her. She's like, oh, hey, how you been? I'm like, oh, I'm good. You know, it's been a while, like 25 years since I've seen you. You know, and anyway, you know, it just sort of struck me funny. But then suddenly last week, I get a friend request for like Ray Rodriguez. You know what I mean? Like how sometimes people like change their names. And that was the real Rachel Rodriguez that I knew. So I have been friends with like a fake Rachel Rodriguez with all of the same mutual friends and everything. And I have no idea who she is.
Did you ask her?
No, what am I going to be like? Oh, I thought you were the person I went to elementary school with. I guess I was wrong.
I mean, wasn't there a movie about that where like a guy came, pretended he was a high school buddy of some guy, and he ended up killing the entire family. So maybe you should just move.
Ooh. Well, I mean, she doesn't know where I live, so I'm not worried about that. No, I'm not.
So what's going on? What do we got going on today, man? What do we have?
We have a lot of fun music stories today. We have a lot of fun music stories today, and I wanted to tell you a little bit before we get into our awesome guest about this drink that I got. Because this, you know, when I was in high school, I heard about something called the mind eraser. And I was like, what is that? It's like some stupid mixed drink name for something. No, this is really the mind eraser. I don't know if you can see that proof.
Oh my God, 116 proof?
Yeah, 100, 58% alcohol. Oh, man. So I've decided to come up with a scoring suggestion. What I remember of the drink was quite good. I give Broken Barrel Fused Whiskey a B+. I thought it was quite good. So that's this weekend alcohol for me.
Yeah.
What's that?
So you gave it a Gideon score of a B+.
I gave it a Gideon score of B+, yes.
Why did you give it such a low mark, though, if you don't remember anything?
I remember nothing.
It did the job, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was very effective. Of course. But I just was, I don't know. I'm saving the A for, you know, because I don't know. I'd probably buy it again, but I'm saving the A for something, you know, much better. But so that's my story.
Should we bring on our guest today? Why not? Before we get to the stories, let's bring him on. I mean, he's tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's currently in Madrid at the moment, so he's probably going to want to go to bed soon. And so is it midnight there? After that midnight. So our guest is a good friend of mine. I'm very excited to have him on. He is the founder of ArtSmart. and he is an international tenor on the scene today. He's sung in every major opera house and anywhere. And he is currently, I'm in Madrid at the moment, rehearsing his second COVID production. So let's bring on Michael Fabiano.
Hold on, do you want to see what it's? Do you want to see a little clip first?
Oh, let's do a clip. We got a clip. I forgot. It's been so long since we got a singer guest on.
Yeah, I know. I like to do it this way.
Oh, that's not his hair.
Terrible. Stephen, do you know this piece?
No, I've never heard it before in my life.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Nice. This is from this year, you know.
Yeah.
Oh. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Oh my God, you shaved your head.
Yeah.
You have such beautiful hair. Why did you shave it?
Oh no. That I shaved it for the show. Actually, I don't know if you knew that. I just decided.
I know.
Yeah, it was time to get rid of it. It was really getting long. It was COVID hair. I know that we all have those issues.
That's what it is.
Just chop. I had to get rid of it.
So, Michael, how are you, man?
For showing off my production of La Boheme that you got to reprise in Madrid.
Cool.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And you know what? I think I had the same hair.
Did you?
I think I had the same wig.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I can always say to all of Stephen's guests out there that Stephen always has the better La Speranza than me. So, Stephen, congratulations.
That's not true. So tell us how you are. You're in Spain. How are things over there?
Great. I feel very fortunate and blessed to be here. We started rehearsals of Ballo in Maschera today. And it's a real full production. There's no bullshit.
There's no lines this time?
No, there's no like Tron lines in the ground like when you watch the movie Tron. You know, like it looks like they're right. It looks like they're shooting lasers at us.
Wait, can you tell me about this production that you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I did Traviata here 2 months ago, and it was Traviata alla distanza. So everyone was not allowed to touch each other, and we had to stay like 10 feet away from each other at all times. And I said we had these boxes on the stage, and anytime one person moved, someone else had to move to a different box. And I kept making the joke that if I moved too early, they would zap me if I moved in the box at the wrong time.
How did that go? I mean, Michael, you clear this up for everybody because I mean, you know, people talk, they chat, the internet, blah 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 blah.
And we talked about this production.
Now we talked about this production because people keep saying it's a mistake. They shouldn't do it. They shouldn't be doing this. It's going to be this. And correct me if I'm wrong. No one contracted COVID. Nobody got sick in the cast, the crew, or the orchestra, and no one got sick in the audience. Is that am I correct in that?
So here are the numbers. There were 28,400 people that were patrons that came through the theater between the last dress rehearsal, all the way to the last performance of 27 shows. There was not one single case traced to any of the patrons. And entering and exiting the theater over 46 days, there were over 100,000 people between crew, cast, whoever it was. There was not a single case ever. In fact, the health director in Madrid has said that the Minister of Health said that the safest place to be for all entertainment purposes right now is in the Opera House, of all places. So when I hear people saying on the internet right now making stupid accusations, and we can point fingers at them. I know who they are. That it's dangerous and they wouldn't get caught dead doing it. Well, there's a reason why they're not here. And I would just argue that what this theater has done is next to magic. They secured the theater. People are healthy. People are happy. People are getting paid. People are feeling their dignity affirmed. And we need to figure that out in America now.
You know, I've been saying that from the beginning. I said, you know what? I've been to Madrid. It's a great house. It's a great company. They're great people. And they wouldn't open if they didn't feel safe. They wouldn't put people's lives or health in jeopardy. They know what they're doing, and I'm sure they well thought it out. Now, how is it working now? Is it the same process still with Balo? Like when you go into rehearsals, is it a different?
The thing that hasn't changed is the rigor of health protocol is the same. So I had a COVID test the other day. I'll have another COVID test at the end of next week. It's a weekly test. They do a temperature check when you walk in. You have to wipe the bottom. You have to scrub the bottom of your shoes. They give you a sterile mask. You have to wash your hands with a specific thing that they give you when you walk in. And the mask has to be on unless you're singing. That's it. You know, if that's the protocol to open up an opera company, go for it. Be my guest.
Absolutely. I mean, like they say, if you're wearing a mask, you're safer. You know, if you're sitting in an audience with someone next to a mask, what's the percentage you'll catch COVID unless somebody takes it off? I mean, it's almost zero, right?
The masks are mandated for all patrons, and I think that's fine and smart. And if someone doesn't want to wear a mask, then they don't need to come to the opera. That's what I think. They just don't, no mask, don't come in. Don't come in the theater.
And am I right to say during the Traviata was a time where Spain started to have spikes, right?
Yeah, it started right around when we the opening, actually. Yeah.
So even during a spike, again, no one got sick.
No one was ill ever.
Unbelievable. See, why can't we do that here?
I think America, in my opinion, is addicted to fear and panic. I think there's a genuine addiction to it. There's a lot of sensationalism and histrionics in the media. And with reason to a degree, I have to say, because when people have family members or friends that have been subjugated to this virus and either have died or have been very ill, it's logical. This is a virus that is really dangerous. But at the same time, there's also logic, and there are medical and health protocols that all of us can take to secure not only the workers, but the people that come and watch our performances. And I think that there is a concurrent case to be made about protecting people, making sure that people are safe, and making sure that the economic engine works at the same time. There's no reason why each of those two items are exclusive. They should work hand in hand. And it's incredible to me that we have these north and south poles all of a sudden, where if you support health, you're a Democrat, and if you support the economy, you're a Republican. That's insane. We should be supporting health and the economy, both. I don't see why both don't work. We can make sure that people are really safe, protected, and we can try to get this economic engine working.
A lot of people, I'm sure people know this by now, but besides being a world famous tenor flying all over the place, you've dedicated a big chunk of your life now to ArtSmart, your organization to help bring music to inner city children, inner city schools, people that can't afford it. Can you talk to us a little bit about ArtSmart?
Sure. So over 5 years ago, I actually had a failure of sorts. I had started a technology venture on my own, and I built a technological solution for artists that did not work. And I invested a lot of money into it. And when it didn't get off the ground, I stepped back and I said, okay, why did my investment flop? What went wrong? And why did I do what I was doing? And the answer was because I wanted to help artists find more dignity in their hard work and their studies. And so I sat down with a dear friend of mine, John Viscardi, who I think you know, Stephen.
Absolutely.
And John and I said, well, what is it that we can do to help artists find their dignity. If people are not working and have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education in music school, what can we do? And so I figured, okay, well, we can employ them, but how do we employ them? Where? Well, schools need music. There are lots of public schools in Newark, Philadelphia, New York City, wherever, that have nothing. And so we piloted a program to just teach kids one-on-one music lessons during the school day in a very tough school. And it worked. And so then we built a curriculum. We wrote a 100-page curriculum that's built around mentorship. And so now the program, after 5 years, has exploded. It's nationwide in many schools. We were on track last year to teach about 35,000 free lessons nationwide. And we didn't get there because obviously of COVID. But this year we're going to do it again, and we're fine. I was able to shore up the financial end of things just fine. And we're going to deliver the program a little differently because of COVID, but we still have a wonderful program, and we have a lot of terrific kids that we've gotten graduated to college. And thank you for showing that. Anyway, it's something that's really dear to my heart. We are in Newark, Philadelphia, New York City, Chicago, San Francisco. We were planning to start Los Angeles at the same time this year. Right as COVID started, we were starting our search and our work, and then everything stopped that. So that we're lucky that we're just at status quo for this year, which is a good thing. We're not even contracting. We're the same size.
Yeah. How much extra work do you have to do now with this COVID? Because if it's a national organization, I mean, every state has a different rule, has different things that you can do. Are you doing mostly everything now online, or are you doing in some places, are you able to do in-person teachings and lessons?
So most of it will be delivered through December virtually, which we were not allowed to do last year because of liability rules and because schools didn't have the virtual portals set up. But now, because schools do, we are using their platforms depending on the school district. So like CPS, Chicago Public Schools, San Francisco Unified School District, we're going to be able to use their system. In certain cases in Newark, New Jersey, and in Jersey City, we're hoping that we might be able to do in-person lessons because it doesn't seem yet defined if they're going to shut schools. Mm-hmm. New York City also, it's not totally clear yet. So our plan A is to deliver virtual. Our plan B is to kind of do a hybrid virtual in-person, depending on our teachers, who's comfortable, who's not. Look, there are people that work for me that don't want to go back in the classroom yet, and I'm not going to force them to. So if they want to work virtually, they can work virtually. If they'd like to work in the classroom, we're going to set up the protocols even tighter than what happened in Madrid here. But I have 40-something teachers that work at ArtSmart around the country. And by the way, if anyone else needs a job, we're still hiring. Actually, we're hiring people right now.
Is there a link? Is there a link on your website, Gideon? Can we put a link in the?
We're still looking for a few mentors on the East Coast for this upcoming year. We're hiring. We literally need people to work for us, which is a good thing. So if you're an artist watching, give us a look. It's a part-time job, but it's a well-paid job.
What in particular you're looking for in the arts? Does it range from?
Doesn't matter.
Everything in the arts to music.
We don't care. We call ourselves a music mentoring organization. Mm-hmm. So let's just say, let's give it. I'll give you two great stories. Okay. Last year I had an audition in the Bronx in one of our news sites. And I was told that there were going to be 50 kids auditioning for 12 slots. And that already was a lot. And it was on a day of a Manual performance at the Met, of all things, the audition. And when I arrived at the school, there were over 100 kids waiting to audition for me during the school day. The 13th child that showed up was a 15-year-old boy. I will not name his name for purposes of being careful here. Andrea, I just see you say you're interested in teaching. Just go on the ArtSmart website and look for our application. It's there. Okay.
Gideon, did we put the link in the chat?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool.
So anyway, the quick story is this. A boy walked in. It was clear that he was on the spectrum. He was an African-American boy, black. His voice had clearly dropped and changed. And when he filled out his application, he didn't really say much. He didn't really write anything on it. And we have a lot of questions. Why do you want to study music? What are your goals in life? What's your favorite subject in school to participate in? Just to understand what kids like to do. He didn't answer anything except he wrote, I love opera, which we never get from kids that audition for our program, because usually they come in singing Adele or they sing some pop song or whatever it is. And so he was lost in his focus. He couldn't focus his eyes. I thought he was nervous. Then I realized, okay, there was something that we had to pay attention to. And I said, so I'm not going to name the name, but so let's call him Matthew for the argument's sake for right now. So Matthew, why do you want to be in this program? Because music makes me feel good. Okay, great. What kind of music makes you feel good? Opera. Okay. What kind of opera do you like? I like Verdi and Puccini. 15 years old. And I said, okay. Do you have a favorite singer? Yeah, Franco Corelli. I said, okay. Wow. Franco Corelli. Do you like any other singers? He says, yeah, Mario Delmonico. Okay. I said, okay, well, those are two of my favorite singers too, by the way. Great. Yeah. And he said, can I sing? And I said, sure. And I said, what do you want to sing? I want to sing a piece from Tosca. And I said, Tosca, you want to sing Tosca? Yes. And I said, what would you like to sing? Do you know what Raccontita Armonia is? And I said, I do. I know exactly what it is. And I said, okay. And I turned to the pianist and I said, would you bring up Raccontita Armonia, please? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the first 8 bars were better than any student that has graduated from Juilliard in the last 50 years. I'm sorry to all the Juilliard kids. Not Curtis or Avier, but Juilliard. Okay. And so anyway, all of us in the room started to cry. I mean, we were sobbing because it's incomprehensible to have something like that happen.
Wow.
It wasn't real. I mean, we couldn't believe it. And the kids stopped and said, and by the way, his issue with being unfocused and the eyes all over the place, it
gone, right? When he started singing.
Gone. He was zeroed in.
It's just so fantastic.
It's clear that music was his salt. It was the thing.
Had he studied prior to that at all,
no,
or is it just
he said? So I'll tell you the rest. So I said to him, "Do you realize how much talent you have, young man?" And he said, "No one's ever told me I have talent." And I said, "Well, I think you have talent." I said, "We all think you have talent. Can't you see?" He says, "Yeah, you're crying. Is it that bad?" I said, "No, we just said you have talent." And I said, "You know what? I think it's incredible. I think it would be great if I just sang a few notes of the piece for you too." And he says, "Oh, you know how to sing opera too?" And I said, "Yes." And I sang the beginning of Raccontita Armonia. And again, 8 bars in, the boy started to cry. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And he says, "I know who you are." And I said, "Well, who am I?" He says, "You're Michael Fabiano." And I said, "Yes." And he says, "I've watched all your videos on YouTube. I watched them all night long." I said, Is this what makes you happy, opera, doing this?" He said, "This is all I want to do for the rest of my life." So I said, "Well, you're in our program." Now, does this happen every day for us? No. This was a rare case, but he was number 13. Number 15, the kid that came in, 2 kids after him, said, do you know a composer named Mozart? And I said, "Yes, I do." And he says, "I would like to sing a piece from Così fan tutte for you." I said, "Okay." 15 years old again. Another boy, Hispanic, and he sang Una Hora Amorosa. and it was better than How You Could Sing It, Stephen. I mean, it was that. I'm not kidding. Like, I can't sing it to save my life. I mean, this kid was. I'm. It's not an insult. It was fucking amazing. Excuse my language to anyone out there that doesn't like bad language. And we said, what is this school? Like, how is this even possible? And I said to the second kid, I said, how did you learn how to sing like this? And he said, watching YouTube videos of people. And I said, well, who do you watch? And he said, loves, and he was from the Dominican Republic. He said, Francisco Araiza, who he loved.
Wow.
And I was like, Araiza, for a 15-year-old in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And we were completely flabbergasted, because it's evidence to me that if there are two of these kids like this, with this quality of talent, in a school where they're not getting attention and they're not being told that they're talented and their skills are not being affirmed, it means to me that there are hosts of other kids just like him all over the country that are not being discovered.
Well, that's the biggest issue. I mean, we touched about that on our show a little bit when Tomasini came out in the New York Times with the get rid of the blind audition because it's not fair. Which is it's in an instance, yes, it's fair when you want to eliminate racism, sexism, ageism to find the best players. But in reality, the American system is the one that makes it not fair. Once they stripped music programs from schools, from public schools, and they stopped funding these programs, all these kids, especially the ones you're talking about, are lost. They have the talent to do it, and they don't realize it until they're actually old enough to pursue it. And and this is what your program essentially does. Your program now is making up for all of the lack of resources that schools have to music right now. It's an incredible program.
I'll give you the school we started with in Newark, East Side High School. When we went in, there was no band program. There was one choral class of a school of 2,800 kids, or 27, something like 2,800, very big school. There was one choir class with maybe 30 or 40 kids in it. That's it. And when we came in, there was a turnover. So there was a new teacher. She was new. She didn't know her way around the school yet when we came in. And when we started the program, we didn't really have bearings. Now, after 5 years, because of some of our wonderful students and their hard work and their diligence, Newark has designated Eastside High School an art satellite high school and has allocated millions of dollars to the school for music programming. And it's literally because the district saw that there was potential. Now, if a district can see the potential like that in one school and see that the growth curve is like a hockey stick for so many of those kids where they're failing school, and by the end of 1 year in a program like ours, suddenly their GPA has gone up 2 full points, and they're passing, and they're getting into college, or they're getting it begs the question, what are we doing wrong at the federal level and the state level? Why aren't we addressing this? Where are our leaders? You know, I remember when Governor Kane was the governor. I was barely born, but Governor Kane was the governor of New Jersey in 1982.
Oh, I remember him well.
Mm-hmm. And then Florio came in, and Kane was dedicated to culture and the arts, loved culture and the arts. If you know anything about Governor Kane, that's all he does. Florio came in and he chopped it all away, even though he was a Democrat. And everybody always says, okay, Democrats love the arts, Republicans don't. But in this case, it was the flip. And the big problem was they were trying a whole new method of education. Then in the early part of the 90s, there was this schism between public education and corporate education. And there was all this new trial and error thing. And it was just to completely hack away at cultural studies, which was a gigantic mistake. And so the second story is this. My grandmother was a public school music teacher until the last year of Governor Kane's term. And when Florio came in, she knew that she was not going to have the same resources to teach. And so she just left, and that was it. She left teaching because she didn't have the capacity to give children the full ability what she did for the previous 8 years. And there are great leaders out there, whoever they are, right, left, that care about the arts. There are leaders that don't care about the arts. And I think all of us, whoever, blue, red, white, black, brown, yellow, who cares what the color is, we should be lobbying every elected official right now to say, you should invest in culture because you're guaranteeing that people don't end up in prison beds. You should be investing in culture because you're going to guarantee that people are going to look for employment and not look for entitlements and handouts. That's the answer. And I don't understand why there's this, again, if you're for culture, you're one way, and if you're not, you're another. It's stupid. It's not smart thinking. Anyway, that's where I stand on this, clearly.
I'll have you know that I brought in
at all.
I brought in Yago's my voice lesson when I was 15, and my teacher threw my book at me. It didn't go as well, and I've been trying to sing it ever since. The other thing I'll tell you, I've had a few autistic students, and I have to say it's some of the most rewarding. And as a part-time, I have taught in my life, especially now, that you go through every win and every loss with your students. They audition, they get the part, you feel like $1,000,000. One of my autistic students did not get into his senior choir, and I'm not sure I've ever been angrier and more worked up in my entire life over anything. And it's so great that you do that, and you really can discover pretty amazing things, not only in the students themselves, but they bring something out of you as well, I find, in my life.
Yeah, and I would say, even you just said something really important, which is that a lot of our mentors that work at ArtSmart, we call them mentors, we don't call them teachers, because I think the word teacher really is diminutive. These people that are in our schools are doing more than just teaching music. They're serving children, they're serving young adults, they're helping them through crises. People, in many cases, these kids have no home, or they're displaced, or they have one parent, or a parent in jail, whatever the situation is. And our people are these frontline mentors that begin to take on the ills of their kids, the ills and the joys of their kids. And they feel exactly what you just said, which is they feel the joy and the sadness when their kids have successes or failures. And that's a testament to my people's hard work. And I couldn't be more proud of all the work that the people do for ArtSmart and the time and commitment they put into it.
And how many mentors do you have again?
Well, it's changing. So I don't want to commit to a full number right now, because we are still hiring and adjusting our numbers for this year because of the way schools have to be delivered. We've been a one-on-one program from the beginning, meaning one teacher to one student. This year, partially because of COVID, we're unveiling, in certain cases, 3 students to one teacher in an expanded lesson form with a specific goal. It depends on the school. It depends where. So about 60% of our lessons will be one-on-one, and 40% will be 3-on-1. One of our mentors, Christine Moore, just gave a few hearts. She's one of our wonderful mentors. We love her. She's done such great work for us. And I love her too. She's a wonderful woman and very, very committed to her kids. Anyway, we're really excited for the year, and it's gonna, it's different. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be strange, honestly, because we don't know what these schools are gonna be giving us at the beginning. We don't know. No one knows. Certain school districts in New Jersey so far have pushed back, starting dates of school already. I have family members that are teachers in New Jersey, and now they're starting school 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later because of the fear of the virus or whatever. And I don't want to weigh in on this one because I'm not there. Part of me says that we need to get back to school, and then part of me says the opposite. Let's make sure we have control of this thing before we go, full hilt. So I'm not going to give a definitive answer on this one. I don't need to. Luckily, at the moment, I'm not a politician, so I don't have to say what I believe yet on this one.
Michael, where are you from in Jersey?
North Jersey.
Whereabouts?
Montclair.
Oh, Montclair. Okay, so I grew up in Highland Park, right by New Brunswick.
Oh, okay, okay.
So 30, yeah, we're cool. I don't want to hear Mr. Philadelphia
Yeah,
over there.
except the thing is, I have to say, I have a sweet spot for Philly. Stephen knows I lived there for 13 years.
I did. I have to be honest with you. I was just back in Philly. I had some stuff to do yesterday, and I was just in Philly, and it's changed a lot, man. The downtown has gotten really bad. It doesn't look the same to me. It's very it's gotten dirty. It's gotten really run down, and I'm concerned about Philadelphia. And it was just sad, going back to a spot that you remember so well, and it's completely changed. But let's remind everybody that during this period, it's extremely hard for nonprofit organizations. So if anybody that doesn't want to be a mentor, that just wants to donate to ArtSmart, please go to the link, and please anywhere from $1 to millions of dollars if you have it.
Millions.
Just please. I mean, right now, at times like this, you need all the funding.
People know, like Stephen knows. And when I ask for money, I'm not never asking for myself. I'm always proselytizing for my organization, and it's a full-time job just asking for money. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and it's a joy to do it because I'm able to recount the stories about our kids, the successes, the great moments that we have as an organization, the growth. I'm able to talk really positively about our wonderful mentors. Christine, who just popped on here, for instance, is one. There are many of them, and many of the people that work for us, they themselves have just blossomed in their own role of becoming mentors, and now have even adapted some of their curriculum to how they teach their other kids, because we've built a curriculum. And I don't know, Stephen, I hope you can do something with us this year and be involved with us in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've talked about this before. You've just never gotten back to me about it. But besides that, no, absolutely. Should we do some news stories with Michael while he's here?
Go ahead.
Are you okay? You're not too tired?
Yeah, I'm going to have my apple.
I mean, I know that you're almost.
There you go. You can have your apple. There you go. That sounds good.
68 right now.
It was interesting what you said, Michael. You're talking about perceptions of what's going on, right? So let me ask you something, right? Let me ask you guys something. Okay, what percentage? What percentage of people aged 55 and older account for the deaths by COVID, would you guess? About. What
was the number? What was the absolute number?
I'm asking 55 and older. Like, what would you guess?
92%.
92%. Stephen, what do you think?
I can't answer this because you've already sent me that link and I've seen it.
Well, yeah, you are absolutely precisely right, Michael. It is 92%. However, half of people don't believe that. They think
don't believe it and don't know it.
No, yes.
That link also.
What's that? No, I'm good with.
He gets the exact number, by the way. He gets the exact.
I swear, number. I haven't seen that. Promise. But I was presuming that there was a little bit of a trick in the question, but the answer is no, because in Europe the number is 94. 94. Okay. So 60 and older. So I just figured, okay, it's going to be in the 90s. I knew that it was going to be somewhere in there.
Well, this was a big study that was done, and the other question they asked the survey is, what percentage of people under 44 and younger account for the deaths? Most people believed it was 30% deaths, and the actual is 2.7%. So there's a lot of misconceptions about. I mean, it's not good. It's terrible.
As I've said over and over, even to the people that don't like to hear it, we should be securing our older populations and the people that are at risk. We should be doing everything we can from the federal level and from the state level to make sure that they're safe, they're protected. If they are in nursing homes or they're in elderly home facilities, lock them down.
But you're getting called out in chat, Michael.
Well, hopefully,
let me tell you something. There's no reason why people under the age of 40 can't be working right now.
Well, hopefully not in a nursing home. I mean,
I mean,
you don't want to be in a New York nursing home.
All right, come on. Let's do the trivia. Let's see if you can get me on anything. Come on, go ahead.
No trivia here. I was just because that's what it was. However, our good buddy, Miss Nutrevko, has decided she's going to be headlining Bolshoi reopening in September with Don Carlo. So Bolshoi is reopening. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just in Moscow, or you're just rather in Madrid now. So opening in Bolshoi.
Great, good for her. I don't have anything else to say. That's great.
That's great. Okay.
Why would I complain about that?
Why not?
For her.
Why not?
I love Anna. I think she's terrific, and
Absolutely.
she's got great personality. She's a wonderful talent. There's a reason why she's the star that she is, and
let's remind everybody this isn't. I mean this is big news for the Bolshoi opening, but this isn't Anna's first concert this summer. Anna's been singing all over Europe all summer long.
We have that story too.
And obviously she's safe, and her family's safe, and none of them have been sick. And why not?
Why not? Well, closer to home, Jacksonville Symphony is reopening at 1/3 capacity. Jacksonville also, as I say every episode, I am a huge pro wrestling fan, has also started letting people in socially distanced into crowds as wrestling fans too. So they are opening. They're going from 1,800 to about 600 seats. So good for them. This is a great start for us to get.
Observation about all this.
What's that?
I want to make an observation about all this.
Sure.
I hope artistic leaders in America are listening.
They all watch our show.
We are all artists here. We are all American artists. We don't count just on subscribers and patrons that are on boards of opera companies. We count on every single citizen that buys seats. And I think what's happening, I could be wrong. Someone can correct me on this one. Is that the boards of organizations in specifically American companies are kind of in a bit of a sound vacuum where they hear their own opinions, and it's because they themselves are recurrent patrons, and so they think that everything will be fine in a year even if we remain closed. But I'm not worried about them coming back. I know they will. What I'm worried about is the casual patron that is not a common opera goer, who is no longer going to have faith in the institution of what we do. And those are the people that we should be thinking about right now, which is why even if we don't open the doors, we should be doing very creative projects that keep the public at large engaged. I don't care. Maybe the Met stays closed maybe the doors of the actual Met stay closed, but we do something else that's clever. Or if it's Chicago or wherever it is, let's figure out something smart so we keep the casual opera goer engaged, because what we will see is a retrenchment of the public very quickly.
I said the same thing the other day. I said New York really has to. New York makes tons of money every year based off their culture in New York City, Broadway, museums, Lincoln Center, things like that. And as I drove through Midtown and saw everything closed, I kept thinking, if Broadway doesn't reopen, or if they don't start to find ways to do that, what's stopping some other state to starting a new Broadway and then having musical theater venues come in there and open their shows? I mean, does it have to be in New York? We may see that another state may end up being a musical mecca in the United States, which would also then take away business for New York to ever recover.
Good point. And I think that if that happens, the good thing about America, which I know will never leave, is that we are a free market capitalistic system. And I'm very proud about that. And if that happens, well, then the system will work itself out. And if, let's say, Nashville turns into a new mecca for opera because they're open, and Governor Lee decides to invite, let's say, a bunch of opera singers to participate in a wonderful opera affair in Nashville and Knoxville and wherever it is. Well, okay, that's the free market. That's how it works.
Absolutely. I mean, look, like I said, there's nothing stopping other people from starting a new Broadway, starting a new art center somewhere else. I mean, once that happens and people start to go, it's going to be hard to bring people back.
I think, though, it's going to take, Stephen, it's going to take all of us artists to stand united and say, we are working, we are ready to work, we want to work, and people under the age of 65 are safe. They are safe. And I think the one argument that I hear that's really legitimate is that there's this anti-virus stream of people in America that believe that the virus doesn't exist, or that it's oppressive in nature by the protocols the government has placed. That's where I'm different. I think that the virus is terrible. It definitely has ravaged communities. It definitely ravages older folks and people that have health conditions. So we should secure them. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be doing something for the rest of society right now. And it doesn't hold logic. I can't believe that restaurants in New York are still not open.
I agree with you 100%. I think that people are thinking the wrong way. I think that we're always going to have this virus because any vaccine to viruses is not 100%. I don't think we're ever going to have a vaccine that is 100%. I think we're going to have a vaccine that helps eliminate a lot of the
That's good.
factor of it, and it's great.
I think you're probably right. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to actually give an opinion on this. If we get a vaccine that gets us to 80% or 90%, that's better than zero. If we have a therapeutic that gets 50% of people healthier, that's great news.
Absolutely. I think rapid testing is going to be a game changer, especially for our industry. I think once we're able to get access to rapid testing, more things will open because
Here's a small fact. Americans, we've already administered nearly 80 million COVID tests in the United States of America. No, it's not per capita the most in the world. Yes, there are certain countries that are above it.
That's pretty high, though.
80 million tests. That's nearly 30% of the country has had at least a test.
Yeah,
that's an astounding number.
I think you're really going to like this. Houston. Here we have this story. Houston, we have an audience. That's right. The Houston Symphony played, but my favorite was this quote that I think, Michael, you'll really appreciate. Brenton Smith, the cellist, says, "I'm so proud of everybody who made this possible, proving that there's a third way between being reckless and simply going into hibernation." So they played to a limited audience, but they're back. The Houston Symphony is back, and I think that this quote sums up what you're saying. It doesn't have to be reckless, and it doesn't have to just hide into your basement.
Let's think of it like this: like if, let's say, X large American opera house that's closed right now. If maybe this is going to take a consortium of artists like ourselves. I don't know. The way I would handle it is open it to 25 to 33%. Put people in a park with jumbotrons outside, paid tickets outside. You get the audience to 66% with people all over the place. Yeah, you're going to have a contraction of revenue. Absolutely. That's expected. But as I say, cash flow always wins the game. If you have no cash flow, you're dead. So at least we have cash flow and we don't have an audience retrenchment. So I would hope that X theaters, whoever they are thinking like this now, thinking about, okay, how are we going to keep 90% of the audience intact for the next 18 to 24 months? And how are we going to have enough cash flow that, we're going to be in debt for 3 or 4 years, maybe 6, whatever the number is, but we're not going to be dead. Madrid, everyone wants to invoke state funding. Europe, okay, it's different in Europe. I don't know if people should know this, but the Teatro Real in Madrid, so 56% of it is funded purely by box office. 22 is by sponsors, and 22 is by the state. So when people argue, okay, it's state funded, it's state, it's
very low.
It's not true at all. And yes, there is state monies here, and they get it, but it's not nearly what people conceive. They're dead if they don't have an audience. If they don't have box office, they're dead. And so being able to put off 27 Traviatas last month, 2 months ago, kept them cash flow positive. Did it mean they lost money? Yeah, they lost 10 million euros, but for the balance of the rest of the spring season. But they instead were not in the whole 28 million, right? They were able to save 60% of that budget. And this all or nothing plan is just is.
I've been saying it. Lincoln Center has an ideal situation where they can. There's 3 theaters. You can work in conjunction with the Met. Could work with the Symphony and the Bell.
And they can fountain areas.
Yeah, but they could alternate nights, right? So you could be doing a production in the Met or at 20 to 30% capacity, and then if the other 2 theaters are empty, you can screen it in those theaters, socially distant in those theaters as well, like the movie theater. Like it's like going
put
to
them
a movie.
outside too. Put them on the screen outside. Put it in Central Park.
Absolutely.
Put it down at the water. Do whatever you need to do. We have so many green spaces all over New York City. There's no reason why we can't be using that and charging people a modest amount of money to enter a cordoned off area to watch a show.
People are doing it. People are doing it in cars. A friend of ours is supposed to sing in a movie in Tosca in a drive-in movie theater coming up. So,
listen, I want to state, I understand people are scared, and people have seen families, friends, associates, colleagues, their lives ruined because of this virus. I have family members that had COVID. I understand. I totally get it. And I don't want to minimize that at all because it is a grave health concern. At the same time, there's a grave health concern of lots of people being unemployed for perpetuity. Absolutely. Unemployment, perpetual unemployment for the next 5 years is also a health concern that we have to consider. And it's a health concern because we're going to have mental health issues, stress, anxiety, you name it, all the things that come associated with not having work. So we have to balance the 2 things. Secure the people that need to be secured, get the business back on its feet.
I know, Michael, that in April, they had already maxed out or met the suicide hotline in California had already met its call number of the entire prior year just in April. So mental health is a serious thing. But the good news is with all these things, there are people who are trying to help us. Yes, they are. And there's a big study out now that came out in The Guardian. But his advice is maybe if you just sing a little quieter.
Oh, Michael, you're so fucked.
If you just sing a little quieter, it'll all be okay.
You think maybe I should start doing that. I think the answer is Michael Fabiano should start singing quiet.
Yes, well, that's their advice. I spoke on behalf of Steven. They say sing softer. We say LOL. No, we're not singing softer. But it's just to be fair to these people who put on this study, who they said they actually did say that singing is not more dangerous than talking, but singing loudly is more of a problem. This is what they say. I will say this: these people funded this by themselves. They didn't take a cent. They did it all on their own because they really care and they were really trying to do it. So as much as we make fun of it, I applaud them for doing this on their own for free.
There are a lot of competing surveys out right now. People can cite whatever they want. There are so many ways to cite a poll, a survey, whatever that suits your own needs. Absolutely. You can create statistics now and say this stat supports my position, and I can tell you this stat supports mine, right? But what I can say is there have been enough surveys now out of Germany and France that support the argument that going back into a normal entertainment environment is safe. And couple that with the fact that we did it safely here in Madrid as a test. It should be a blueprint for the rest of the world. There's no reason we can't get back on our feet right now. And we need to be compelling this, not just to our political leaders, but to our artistic leaders to compel their boards to talk. And that means maybe our own outreach to board members, to making them understand and giving them a clear pathway that this is not a political hot potato. This is just pragmatic. It's simple. People, the industry works. No one's getting ill because of what we're doing. Simple. You want your company to exist in a year or 2? Okay. What I think that we're missing here is we don't want to take advantage of our legacy patrons. We don't want to take advantage of. We don't want to be asking them for more. We want to be saying we're stable. We appreciate everything that you give us. Thank you so much. Let's get back on our feet and get the box office churning revenue again. Absolutely. So we don't have to be demanding and begging and prostrating ourselves on the ground. It's just not logical.
And on on this note, now that we're all sad, can we? Should we play? Should we play our game?
Oh my God!
I mean, I just wanted to follow it up with something positive right now, and then we'll.
We're moving.
Okay, so it looks like we are going to be getting our definitive study of sorts on this. They said in Leipzig a whole fake concert with all these sensors. They brought everybody in. You see, they have, if you can see, they all wore their masks, but they're all they put like some sort of a light detectable substance on their hands to see where they touch, and had them ingest something so to see where they're spit. So they put on a whole concert just for the purposes of testing to see how safe it is to go back to a concert. I gotta say, good for these people, man. And I hope, fingers crossed, Baruch Hashem, as my people would say, that we will find that it's safe to go to concerts with masks, even in this case, as they say, with full capacity. So good for them for doing this to prove to everyone, to the de Blasios of the world who have been rejecting every safety plan that Broadway has tried.
I think people left and right can unify in the fact that de Blasio has been a complete disaster.
I knew I'd get your support on that
one. I don't care if you're of the left or the right. I think you know that he's not lived up to the standard of being a good mayor. He's let the city down, and he's a disgrace.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Okay. Now we are moving on.
Now we're moving on
to our favorite game called Do We Give a Shit, where we talk about whether or not we give a shit about the story, because sometimes they're important, sometimes they're not. But Steven, I think you're going to give a shit about this story. And Michael, you say what you think. And that is that, if I can get it up here going, that's right. The NFL, so of course they're getting ready to come back. The NFL is getting ready to come back, right? Football, let's go whatever team you like. They had 77 positive tests, all false positives. They retested them and found them all false positives. Steven, want to see Steven get going? Here he goes.
I don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit?
No.
All positive tests that they gave, all positive tests that they had were all false positives. You don't give a shit?
I mean, we know that, right? I mean, aren't they like 50% the COVID tests anyway?
No, not quite that low, but 77, 0 for 77. That's bad.
I don't know. I don't really give. You know what? I don't give a shit. You know what? They make too much money to begin with.
Okay. Well, this is okay. So I'm going to change.
You give a shit,
Michael. What do you think about that?
I really couldn't care less.
You don't think it speaks to maybe the labs? Okay, all right. I thought that it might have some greater. This is
we know that a lot of these tests are faulty. I mean, I think it's just telling about the testing system that's going on in America right now and what works and what doesn't.
Okay, well,
next,
America's Dr. Fauci. He's recovering from vocal cord surgery. We could all hear the polyp in his voice when he was talking, and now we know that he actually had to have a polyp removed. That's right. Dr. Fauci is recovering from vocal surgery to remove a polyp. And as I said, 3 experts on this panel say, hey, Dr. Fauci, take voice lessons, okay?
I've been saying for 2 months, I said, this guy has a node. I'm sure of it.
I agree with you. I give a shit about it.
This you give a shit about.
I do give a shit about this because every time he spoke, I was like, "Oh man, something is going on there."
Busted in that throat.
He needs to get that fixed. He can't. I mean, this can't be his natural voice. There is something wrong. But you know what? You know why I do give a shit? Because maybe now he'll have to start taking lessons in order to learn how to support and project his voice. So he'll be like, "Oh, we have to open the arts in order for me to start taking lessons now."
Oh.
Maybe
bring it back around. Okay. Well, this is a fun story, right? So snitches get stitches. That's what we said growing up in Jersey. How you doing, right? So colleges started, they're starting to bring people back. Apparently there was a poll. Let's see which school it was at. There was a poll at North Carolina State University where they asked students, are you going to be partying? And the students who said yes, the person doing the poll reported them to the administration, and they were all given emails. Their parents were sent emails saying you cannot party. This is, I mean, these people would get their asses kicked in my school if they did that back in the day.
I care about this, and yes, I give a shit because it sets a different precedent for the nation in a much bigger way than we're even talking about here.
Yeah.
And I don't like it, and I think it smells of a lot of bad things that happened many decades ago. And let's be very careful.
Yep. Amen. Steven.
Yeah, I give a shit. This is bad. I mean, you can't it just there's just people don't have trust anymore. It's just
should kids be partying? No, it's idiotic, stupid, and dumb. But the precedent that this is setting, the slippery slope that comes along with this, is very dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't updated my iPhone because I swear they're going to start tracking me if I do. So I mean, I already
have my iPhone either. Please don't
I
do
have
it.
a lack of trust in people, and this just makes me realize why I have a lack of trust.
Well,
maybe that's why my phone doesn't work. That could be the reason it's freezing.
So
I was getting the update, and I didn't want to do it, and so. But I kept trying to use my phone throughout the course of the day, and I was like, "Oh man, they turned off my Wi-Fi, so I have to do it." Like I wasn't getting data, and I was so paranoid that they're actually like making my Wi-Fi worse because I wouldn't update it. When I went into the settings, I realized that I had turned off my roaming data.
Well, I'll have you know that I spoke to a buddy of mine who's a pollster, and he actually said that any poll that asks you for your name is bullshit, and you do not do it, is what he said.
By the way, I've been polled twice, by the way.
I've never been polled.
By the way, twice.
Have they asked your name?
They did not ask my name both times, so I know they were legitimate polls. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's happened. But no, I've never been asked my name or any credentials, anything like that. In fact,
I was once told about a dictionary.
One polling group, I knew exactly who they were. Because I'm a political junkie. Some of the people watching out here know that I follow that stuff.
Were you honest?
Was I honest? I would say that I gave an answer, is what I said.
Do you know there was a story in the New York Times actually this week that found that people have slightly different answers, maybe by about 3 to 4 points.
Listen,
if it's automated,
there's no study. There's conclusive evidence on this. So I'll give you one. The Trafalgar Group, which the left doesn't like to talk about, but they're a Republican polling outfit. But they did something really clever in 2016, and people should be paying attention to it, frankly. Now, other polling outfits like ABC and certain groups are doing this. What they asked are 2 questions. Poll question number 1, who are you voting for, A or B? The second question was, who is your neighbor voting for, A or B? And the difference in 2016 was a 6-point gap between the two. And on election night, it was actually the mean in all the states where they asked. It was the middle point between the 2 of those questions where the numbers ended up. Isn't that crazy? And so this pollster, yes, Nate Silver, the Nate Silvers and Nate Cohns of the world, don't give them the highest rating because they're a Republican outlet. But the second question is now being adopted by every mainstream pollster. A lot of mainstream pollsters are asking the same question. Who are your neighbors voting for? Who do you think your friends are voting for in your family? That kind of question is being asked. In fact, that was a question I was asked in one of the 2 polls I was a participant of recently. So just to know, that's what's happening.
I've never been polled.
Oh, but you're a loser. That's why they don't want to talk to you. But the New York Times story that talked about polling found that there was a difference of about 4 points, 3 to 4 points, if the poll was automated versus whether you had to tell somebody, which I thought was really interesting. It's like, you, even anonymous, you don't want to tell them. You'd rather just go, burp.
Yeah, because people don't trust that they're being recorded right now.
Oh, that's true too.
Again, that's the missing link here. That if you're of the left, I would be leery of the numbers that you see, and if I'm the right, I would be working really hard because you're behind. So it just depends on where you sit. Fine. If I'm just a political analyst, that's what I think. The right's behind, but they're not as behind as what the media says.
Well, if you were behind, Michael, would you stage your own freaking kidnapping? Because that's what a candidate in South Carolina did. She staged her own kidnapping, and she got busted for she got busted for it in a local town in California, in Sumter. What's that? I'm sorry?
I didn't see this one at all. I didn't see this.
Yes, this is a news story in Sumter, South Carolina. The Democratic candidate staged her own kidnapping because she wanted to garner sympathy. Not sure that now that she's actually arrested, I'm not sure that will work out okay. Stephen, what do you think of this? Staging your own kidnapping.
I don't give a shit, but you know what? She'll probably win.
You think she'll still win?
Oh my God.
That's really funny. Well, we're very conscious of surveillance on this particular show here, and here's an interesting story that I thought was kind of funny, and that is that a woman got caught having an affair thanks to Google Maps. Yes, that's right. So the Google Street View that comes down and you get to see someone's address. By the way, fun fact that I'm just going to say separately, when I was trying to explain to my lovely Jessica about Israel, where my grandmother is, where I spent so much of my childhood, I actually went down the street and I turned over into her house, and there was a picture of my grandmother on her swing set outside of her, on her patio on Google Maps, which is pretty cool. That's not incriminating. However,
something incredible with Google Maps with me. I'm going to tell everybody now. This is interesting. Stephen saw a picture of my ex-husband, yes, ex, in Google Map photo on Google. Remember, you told me this yourself.
Oh, I did see it.
And if you look at my previous home in Weehawken, New Jersey, there is my ex-husband standing in front of my BMW. And that's all.
Oh. Well,
thank you.
This woman got busted. Her affair, she got busted. This is, you see, they blocked it out, but there she is meeting with her paramour on a park bench. So Big Brother is watching, people.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
I thought that was a pretty good story.
That's fantastic. How do you deny that?
And I mean, you got busted. I'm trying to think if I have any stories. Stephen,
where is our Fourth Amendment right now? That's all I got.
Yeah, that's a really well. I mean, to be fair, they blurred out her face and everything. As you can see here, they blurred out her face. But I mean, if you know who that is, if that's your wife, chances are you're gonna know who that is, right? And that's exactly what happened for that couple.
I'm just waiting for like guy from like Cheaters to come around with the cameras and all that, right in that picture. Did you ever see the show Cheaters, where they like follow you, they stalk you, and they meet you at like the restaurant, and they confront you right there? It was a great show. I think it ended because the guy got stabbed, but
oh, yikes. Well, we were talking about this earlier a little bit, actually. So this is sort of I think this is an interesting story that we all sort of are dealing with now, or many of us are dealing with right now, and that is that where's Michael? Oh, there he is. That the arts world is warning of an exodus of talent from the creative industries because of coronavirus. Mm-hmm. So this was a big formal thing done in the UK, where signed by over 120 creative bodies, including the London Symphony, et cetera, that they need to do something. They need to help us out, because you're going to have a massive exodus of people outside of the arts. I understand in America, it's something like, what did I hear? I don't remember the figure, but in Britain, it's 75,000 people. So this is actually a serious concern. I've had many friends even call me saying, I mean, should I stay with it? What should I do? I mean, this is a serious concern, I think, during this time when we don't know when we're going to be back.
This country, our nation, has we invest nearly $800 billion into the arts and their ancillary businesses throughout the year. meaning restaurants, local coffee shops, laundromats, whatever they are. Anything that has an attachment to local entertainment venues, those ancillary businesses are getting crushed just as bad as the entertainment industry is. And so,
$400 billion in New York State alone is created by the arts.
Could be. I mean, the number I know in everyone has different numbers. In California, the number I know right now is 175 billion. So whatever. Like everybody has a magic number. So let's just say it's nearly $1 trillion industry in America. And if we don't address entertainment, forget about the arts, just call it entertainment for God's sakes. If we don't address entertainment in general, we're not going to have lots of small businesses open. We're just going to have the big legacy businesses taking over the entire country. And it begs a lot of questions what's going on then. Because if local coffee shops, local restaurants, local mom and pop stores just go belly up because the entertainment industry completely fails on us, what are we doing? What is our government doing? Why aren't they looking at this really critically and thinking not just short term, 5-10 years from now? There's a lot here, bigger than we're discussing.
Gideon, should we? Do you want to do one more? Because we should wrap up. So our
we're gonna wrap up soon. We have a couple questions. Yeah, you got to go night. We have a question for you, Michael, from Johnny Stairs Tenalia. He says, "Hello, gentlemen. Question for Michael: if you come back to the States, are you able to get back into European countries, or are you staying there?"
Good question. Thank you. I stayed in Madrid this time because I decided that it would have been less difficult for me to manage new visa, new documents, new coming back and forth. And I just tethered my trip in Europe and stayed put. But that's obviously, mine is an irregular case purely because I'm singing 2 jobs back to back in the exact same place. For the average worker that's in our industry or other industries that have to work in Europe, what I can say is don't listen to what the common theme is that you can't get into Europe. You can. If you have the right information and the right documentation, you will be allowed into the European Union. Okay. That will happen. But you're going to need more documentation than you normally would have to have right now. When I was controlled at the border, when I came through in late June, they asked me a myriad of questions. They quarantined me for 3 hours. They had to call the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Interior to make sure I was legitimate. The guy at the control desk even Googled me to make sure I was really who I was when I was explaining to him what I did. So my advice is don't worry about it if you're an artist. You can get to Europe. Don't listen to the hype. You can get over here. Okay. It's just a matter of the right papers and the right information that you have when you come through.
Okay. And when Arto asks, who is Gideon Dabi, a singer? Yes, I am. Thank you. Though I do mostly utilitarian roles as a lyric baritone, I'm quite good. If you have any further information, I've sung with such wonderful people as Stephen Costello and Leah Corchetto, including many others. You can go to whoisgideon.com because that apparently is what your question is. Thank you, Wen. You made my day, actually. I mean that sincerely. But anyway, that is the actual. And now Raymond says Dabi is a miscreant. No lies detected. That is exactly right.
Oh, no, Raymond is the miscreant. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is true. Raymond is the miscreant.
It's not you. Don't worry about it, Gideon. We know who the miscreant is.
I'm not too concerned about that. But thank you, Tony, for
Tony Manoli just checked in. Hello.
Tony Manoli just checked in. We had a lot of great people coming in to check it today. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I know it's late over there and over in Madrid. We appreciate everything you do, and thank you so much for coming on. Stephen, do you have
no problem. I'm thrilled to be with all you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Get some rest and have a great show. Let us know how Ballo turns out.
It's my first, Ricardo. It's the first time being the bisexual governor of Boston.
Yeah.
And
being the king of Sweden. Right?
Hey, the original story, when in the original Bala and Mascara Gustavo, he really is. It's really dubious what his sexuality is.
Yeah.
So it kind of works for me. I can kind of,
You said it.
it kind of works.
Yeah.
There you go. Very, very good.
I gotta go into downtown Niagara and look for food. So
there you go.
Michael,
Bye, everyone.
And by the way, Michael, if there's anything you ever need for Art Smart that you want to promote on our show or you want people to know about, just give us a shout and we'll gladly have it.
Got it.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
All right.
Thank you for
Thanks so much. We'll be here next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
And I'll be
Thank you
back
all.
in New York City.